Let's look at a way to approach the second project. Start with creating thumbnails. These have been done on graph paper, and you'll notice that there is a frame of reference that's in proportion to the final design, although these are a lot smaller than the final design will be. But you can see how the letter forms are larger. They break out of that frame of reference, and that's what we want to see. So your letter form should be from the topmost portion to the bottommost portion 10 inches tall, where your frame of reference is 9 inches tall. So that's going to ensure that the letter will have to crop on at least 3 sides. So this concept, the S, is appearing to be about the same size as that frame of reference, and that means it's too small. The J is too small. This J has possibilities. So these are all explorations of the possibilities of how to work the letter form into the designed space. The letter form itself needs to be enlarged to 10 inches tall, whether you do that via a scan, scale it up in a vector program or in Photoshop, or you use a photocopier to make enlargements. Okay, so here I have all 3 panels on the same sheet of Bristol, and you can see that I have outlined the frame of reference, the 6x9 panel for each one. And I have already gone ahead and cut out my letter form from the black paper and cemented it into the first panel design space. And I used rubber cement. Remember to coat both surfaces, let both surfaces dry, and then put them together. Do not attempt to put the rubber cement together when it's wet, or to coat only one surface and then try to put them together when it's wet. Coat both surfaces with a thin layer and then let both dry. It takes about 5 minutes for the rubber cement to dry. When both surfaces are dry, then you put them together. That gives us 1, 2, 3, 4 negative shapes from the black paper. So it's basically the scraps left over from cutting out this shape are now arranged into the second 6x9 panel. So not to confuse you. It will be presented vertically, and I can present it this way or this way, because here in the first panel the A is sort of leaning to the upper right. It's got a lower left, upper right diagonal axis. It will be more interesting if I utilize the upper left to lower right axis here, because then there will be a contrast. So the third panel, which I haven't addressed yet, is a combination of panel 1 and panel 2. You don't rearrange anything. You basically trace this as is, trace this as is to get the pattern or the template for the third panel. You do not rearrange anything in the third panel so that it appears differently than the combination of panels 1 and 2. So now I've overlaid and taped a sheet of vellum over the first panel, and I'm going to trace the frame of reference, the 6x9 rectangle, as well as the letter forms. So you can see that that panel is now traced with a number 2 pencil. And I'm going to pull up the tape and transfer the vellum to second panel. Okay, now you can see that the tracing from panel A has been overlaid onto panel B, and I'm going to go ahead and trace panel B onto the same piece of vellum. So I will have a combination of both designs. Okay, now, so both designs have been traced onto the same piece of vellum, and you can see that the design itself, the pencil tracing, is a lot more complex than it started out. So this is going to be your cutting template. This is the basis for panel 3. So with the third panel, you already have the white because that's the Bristol paper. So you're going to need to use more black paper, and you're going to need to use a light gray and a dark gray. So you're going to have 4 colors in this panel: white, black, light gray, and dark gray. Success in the third panel to make the flat space is a combination of getting the shape relationships correct. You need to have all three: transparency effect, the overlap, and the division, and also how you distribute the color. So if you keep the idea of negative space in this panel the way we have it in panel A and B, it will not work in panel C. So you have to fully distribute all four of the colors: the white, the two grays, and the black. Think of distributing them as evenly as possible throughout the design space. Okay, so here's the tracing. What I'm going to do is use this as the template to trim the pieces for the third panel. Now you may want to go ahead and figure out a map as to what colors are going where, and that might help in distributing the colors evenly throughout the design space. To do the graphite transfer so that you can trace this drawing directly onto your colored paper, turn it over. Put the graphite on the back side. Okay, so the graphite is now smeared all over the back of the tracing. There's my graphite stick, and there is all the graphite. All that texture is the graphite. So here's the front. So we can still see the tracing, but on the back is the graphite. To really make this work well, this is an optional thing. Take a rubber cement solvent, rubber cement thinner, on a small piece of paper towel or a cotton ball.